to You Can Do It Too, a podcast highlighting regular folks who followed their dreams and made it happen. I'm Joan Hutchinson, your restaurant maven. I've been described as a risk taker, though I never thought of myself that way. My mom always told me I could do or be whatever I wanted as long as I set my mind to it, and I believed her. I ran a successful catering company that led to owning and operating a top 10 Orange County restaurant and catering venue, prior to earning a bachelor's degree in business management and marketing. You know what I learned by going to school after all of that? You don't need a degree to accomplish your dreams. You need drive, passion, and a belief in yourself. You also need some caring folks who support you and believe in you. I didn't need a formula to tell me how to properly staff for a week. I needed common sense and a deep care for creating outstanding dining experiences for my guests. I've been coaching and consulting with salespeople and small business owners for the last few years and blogging with business advice. I just wanted to do more, to reach more of you. I decided to talk with folks I admire, who kick ass at what they do, to show you that you can do it too. All right, welcome. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm so happy that you could be here today. Today, I am talking with Sasha Eburne. She went all in her business in just 2 weeks. After enjoying 20 years of business management in the corporate world, followed by managing her own successful virtual assistant business, she decided to utilize her experience and her expertise to provide a service to those starting out in the field or wanting to upscale. Sasha's based on the Gold Coast, Australia, and works with clients all over the world. Her goal is to share her VA way exclusive techniques with others to help them also create a flexible and fulfilling career. She coaches her clients to utilize both their heads and their hearts. Early on, she hit a roadblock in her professional life and struggled to move past it. It was only after she adopted the techniques her coach showed her that she saw the benefits. These practices have proven invaluable and in turn motivated Sasha to want to share her newfound passion full-time, coaching others with these same incredibly successful methods and systems. Sasha is now a certified NLP practitioner, which she feels is her most important qualification. It's really important to Sasha to continue learning in order to provide her clients the best coaching possible. Welcome, Sasha.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so glad you could be here today. Sasha is on the other side of the world, so us coordinating recording was definitely interesting.
It was.
But
I love it. We're here.
Figured out.
We did.
Yeah, we got it figured out, and we are here. So you're working in management. What was it that made you decide to make the leap to virtual assisting?
Well, it all started with a global pandemic. That was one of the biggest catalysts, I think. When I was working in a hotel here on the Gold Coast, we were actually the very first hotel in the country to become a quarantine hotel. So the career that I'd built up over 20 years stood down, made into a quarantine hotel, all out of a job. And I'd only recently, funnily enough, just gone back from maternity leave. So it was a little bit of a unusual time to navigate for all of us. I think we're all bound to our homes and things were, very different to what we were used to. So I spent a year of in and out of random jobs, still trying to earn some money and still trying to keep afloat. And I stumbled across a network marketing company that was still I guess it wasn't network marketing in terms of we actually have retail stores here in the country. And I was selling body shop products online and doing home parties because everybody was at home and everybody wanted to do some self-care. And I had sold some body shop to ex-industry colleague, and I went and met her for coffee outside of a cafe when we weren't allowed inside the cafes. And I just asked her, I said, I don't really know what you're doing now. I know that you got made redundant from the hotel as well. She was in another hotel, and she told me that she was a virtual assistant. And I was like, what is this? She said that she was earning more money than she did than in her full-time role in the hotel group, and she was only working 3 days a week. And I was just like, what is this? Sign me up, because I had taken a little bit of a pivot over to real estate and really wasn't finding my feet, really wasn't valued or treated very well. So I jumped in and explored the space for 6 months. I watched. I was like, having a baby, having some time off with COVID. I was just like, I can't just jump. And 6 months, and then it was a day that just things were not going well at work. It just took a dive heel, and I was doing the same task actually I'd been given one task to do every single day, all day for 8 hours. I was like, there's got to be more to life than this. So I jumped in. I saw about 10 leads that week that I could apply for, and I set up my website. I set up my business, everything in overnight. It's pretty much that night while I was sitting there. My daughter was asleep, and then the next day I had a pitch meeting with a client and secured my first client in 24 hours.
Wow. That was
it was fast. And then I worked with that client for 12 hours for that week. And then I was just like, where else can I find clients? What else could I do? And I was constantly, in that first week of working with them, I was constantly leaving the office to go to the bathroom, to the restroom, to go and have calls with potential clients. And I hadn't secured any new clients within that week, but I'd really seen how many were out there. And I was just like, ooh, what if I could actually have all the time in the world? And how many more clients could I get then? So I just went into my boss after another week and I said, I'm out. And then 24 hours later from that, I'd secured another client. And then another week later, I'd secured another client. And by the time I hit 3 weeks, I was fully booked.
Wow, that is amazing. So you definitely did what I said in my intro.
Yeah.
That opportunity.
I saw it.
Jumped with both. That's awesome. That is awesome. So virtual assisting is like being a secretary online. I mean, there's a lot of talk about virtual assisting. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, so typically it is administration. That's where a lot of people start. And it's really about providing a service to a business from the space of your home. So, and generally it's a little bit meshed at the moment, but you can be an employee virtual assistant and you can also be a business owner virtual assistant. And I'd always been that serial entrepreneur that the ideas never took off. So it was very much, I've always wanted to work for myself. I really despised being micromanaged. So going in and being a virtual assistant, having my own business, that was the only way. So it was, a business number, business name, and that was kind of all set up. But essentially, yes, I started doing admin work and being like an executive assistant to clients, and then it just kind of morphed and grew from there. But essentially, it's a remote business service.
Right. So you could do marketing for them. You could do answering the phone. You could do all of that stuff. Okay, I get it.
You name it, yeah.
So you talked about hitting a roadblock early on. What were the tools that you used to overcome that roadblock? I mean, I like to talk about, the reality is that life happens, right? So even though we are doing what we know we're supposed to be doing what we love, doing what we want to do, sometimes things get in the way, and there's fear, or there's whatever that gets in the way and makes us question our choices, even though we know in our heart it's right? So what was it? What were the tools that you used to overcome that?
Yeah, so yes, it went really hard and fast, and I grew to a team of 15 in the first 6 months, which was really quite overwhelming, to be honest. I mean, I'd come from management, I'd worked with people, but it was just a totally different space when you're working on your own and it is your own business and you take everything personally. And it was probably about that 6 to 8 months, and I was just like, there's got to be something else. And I started coaching a little bit because I wanted to share what I had learned. I just knew that there was a lot of things that were coming up, like imposter syndrome, or the feeling of, who am I to be, charging all of these. And funnily enough, I went on the hunt for a business coach. Now, I'd been looking for a business coach for a while, and I connected with another woman that I'd worked with in the hotel space, and she was involved with this company, and I thought it was just coaching. And because coaching I knew was kind of the ultimate ideal game, I kind of went into one of their free sessions, and just what they were talking about, and really much about the growth mindset and, being a better person. There was just so many different things that they spoke about, and I was just like, yeah. And they were all really driven entrepreneurs, and it was a really beautiful space to be in. I was just like, okay, this seems like my people. And I jumped in, I paid for the training, and it literally, with no word of a lie, it changed my life. So, and that's when I thought it was business coaching, but it was NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And really what I've learned was about valuing myself, and that I am good enough, and that I actually have something that I can support my clients with. And because I went through that journey of, self-discovery and learning that, yes, we all have a place, and we all have something to offer, and we should just own that and offer that. Now I get to support my clients in the space of mindset as well, because being an entrepreneur and being a business owner is not for the faint-hearted. It is hard. Right. There are lots of mountains to climb. So, the fact that I get to support them push through all those limiting beliefs has just been a total game changer for myself and also for my clients.
Mm-hmm. So you were figuring out that so what you're saying is you were figuring out that you had all these things that were telling you weren't good enough.
Yeah.
And this the NLP,
yes, NLP.
linguistic programming is a tool that you use that really helped you. Can you explain what neuro-linguistic programming is? Now, I've heard Tony Robbins talk about it.
Yes, Tony Robbins is definitely NLP. So it's really actually about rewiring your brain to think differently. Mm-hmm. And as we grow up, there's a lot of things that can impact the way that we think, the environmental, the way that we're brought up, the things that we've been told to actually make us believe certain things. So it's really about taking it back to actually, what do we believe? And I guess creating a new belief system, really. And right. I think it's super important.
Oops, I apologize. I was interrupting you.
No, my fault.
Because it's part of, it's that one of the hardest things to overcome is that if we think we're a bad kid, we're going to be a bad kid, right? Yeah. Because we want to be true to ourselves. So it's about, yes. It's about what you want to be and believing that you are that, so that your behavior will align with your beliefs, yeah. Right?
Yep, yeah. You've nailed it. It's acting as if, and it's always being forward thinking rather than, oh my God, I've not been able to do it in the past, so how am I even going to be able to do it in the future? So really just a knowing that you can do it, and you're already doing it as well. So yeah, you've definitely identified that correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny when you say that, well, I've done this in the past, or this is how it's happened in the past. We do that all the time with relationships. We a similar situation comes up, and we automatically think that the same thing's going to happen because last time that situation came up, that's what happened. So this is what I'm going to expect. This is what I'm going to brace for. And I think that our fear about having that reaction or that consequence of your actions, the fear is worse than the actual consequence.
100%. Yeah. We talk about the fear of failure, the fear of success so much because it comes up. And there is not just a fear of failure, but there's also a fear of success. Like, that can be scary for people to be like, oh, what if actually people say yes? What if they actually want to pay me money? That scares some people. Mm-hmm. So how do we, help them and support them through that as well? I think it's, yeah.
So you say that you coach your clients to use their head and their hearts.
Yes.
So what do you mean by that?
So it's really about finding clients that are aligned with their values. So this is where we talk about, if we were to work with clients, every person is our client, that would be working with our head. Now, I teach them to lead with heart and soul every single time. So even coming down to when you jump on a pitch call, you're not jumping on there to get the client. It's a knowing of, I can actually help this client. And it really sets the backbones and the foundations for a really great working relationship, because it's coming from a place of love. And it's, I love what I do, and I love that I get to help this person. And the passion will come through, and it won't come through as a necessity kind of scarcity selling, like, oh, I need this client, so, oh, I'm probably going to offer lower than what I am. It's just like, no, I know that I can help this client, and this client is somebody that I would love to work with, and they can see the passion in what you're offering, and that's where it comes from. And that's where, even when they're working with the client, it needs to come from love. So they, working with highest integrity, with authenticity, with honesty, and it's just about creating a really beautiful business that is completely aligned with who they are and what they want to do, and not saying yes to everybody, because then that's just working with their head rather than working with their heart as well.
Oh my gosh, that is just beautiful. I have a couple more questions about that, but before we get to that,
yes,
we need to hear a few words from our sponsors. So
we're
gonna listen to a few words from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. Hang in there, people. I am lucky to have some amazing award-winning cheeses right up the road. Door Artisan Cheese in Egg Harbor, Wisconsin offers small batch cheeses that have been winning awards for years. And in Wisconsin, that's some tough competition. You don't have to live in Door County to get these cheeses, though. Just go to doorartisancheese.com and check out their selection. Their most popular is the Top Hat Cheddar, but my favorite is their beer-washed Gouda called Valmy. Check them out for yourself at doorartisancheese.com. If you're an expert in your field, have a unique story to tell, or an interesting point of view, it's time to explore the world of podcasting with Kitcaster, a podcast booking agency. You can expect a completely customized concierge service from their staff of communication experts. Kitcaster is your secret weapon in podcasting for business. Your audience is waiting to hear from you. Go to kitcaster.com/Maven to apply for a special offer for friends of this podcast. All right, thanks so much. We are back. I am here with Sasha, and we are talking about, she was talking about leading with not just your head, but with your heart. And I loved what you said when you said, instead of making that call to a potential client and thinking, I just really want this client, you're thinking about how much you love what you do and how much you can help this person, and what you like about that person, maybe, or what you like about that person's business. And maybe getting to know a little bit more about that person that you're talking to. I kind of, when you were talking about that, I was thinking about interviews. I talk a lot about hiring right and things like that. And I like during interviews to ask people, and my background is restaurants and hospitality too, but I'm focused on restaurants, and so I ask potential employees, or I tell my clients to ask potential employees, what's your favorite dish? Can you tell me about your favorite dish? For this, to try and bring out that passion in them, to hear what's real from them, to say, what can you tell me about something you do that you love, right? Or like people would say, well, what are your extracurricular activities? But if you can like, that kind of makes people go,
Make it fun.
Say, what's your favorite? Tell me about your favorite dish. My daughter loves lasagna, so she talked to she described lasagna and how she loves the cheesy part of it, or whatever,
Yeah.
Brownies are my favorite thing. I like that the burnt part in the corners. I don't know.
The crispy bit.
Right, but to get them to relax too. So maybe it's something that when you're making those calls, you do it on both sides.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that you mentioned as well, and I think especially here in Australia, and I'm not too familiar with the laws in the US, but here you can't ask them personal questions. You can't ask them about their family, their age, all of that, because we're very much an equal. We call it equal employment opportunity. So a lot of our I guess I call it like corporatized mentality is that when we're pitching to clients that we're not there to get to know them. Well, why not? Because it's your own business. So why not create a business relationship that, yes, could potentially form into a friendship? There's no rules in business. So finding the people that have the same values as you, and if you go and work with a business that potentially doesn't have family, their values are not going to align, and they're not going to understand when you say, I can't respond to you right now because it's bedtime routine, or you need to have the boundaries that I'm only contactable during business hours, because they're the ones that are going to respect your life. So it's really about, yes, they're there to ask you about your business, but you also want to know about their business and who they are, because you're going to be working with them day to day, and we don't want to get into the situation like most of us do in corporate where we actually hate getting out of bed to go to our 9 to 5. So why would you recreate that in your business life? Why wouldn't you have amazing people that you can have really awesome conversation and connections with?
I love that. I remember saying to somebody who was trying to sell me credit card processing, and he was just such a jerk. I don't know why those guys are such jerks. But finally I said to him, you know what? This is my place, and I don't like you. And
Yeah.
so I don't want to do business with people I don't like. So see ya. I actually said that to the guy.
Yeah, I
I
think
feel like I was crazy.
I love the fact that you set those boundaries and those intentions, because sometimes we feel like we have to work with people because of what they're offering. But in all honesty, we want to work with people that we like, know, and trust. And a lot of people come to me that potentially are of the same nature as some suppliers that I brought in to support my business. And they say, well, what were you looking for when you brought them in? I said, do you know what? I actually wasn't looking. It was because they have built a genuine connection and genuine friendship that I got to a point in my business. I'm like, actually, I need this support. And they were there because we all want to work with people that we like, know, and trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. And yeah, that's great. So that's some advice that you would give to somebody wanting to start their own business. Can you give us some advice for someone who wants to start their own business?
Yeah, I think if there's a desire to start your own business, the best thing that you can do is research what you're going into. So many people just dive in head first, which is great. I'm all for jumping and leaping and learning to fly before you can walk. However, the success comes from the knowledge. And when I started, I just reached out to other virtual assistants and asked if we could have a virtual coffee. And there were so many people willing to jump on and spend some time. And I was just like, what do you do for your client? What do you do for your clients? So if you have an interest in a business, just connect with like-minded people, or, it's that old saying, just ask for a seat at the table. Don't wait to be invited to that table, or go to networking events where there are there's people that are in the space that you're looking to go into, because knowledge is power, and it really will support you long term than just going in acting blind, or in terms of marketing, throwing things up at the wall to hope that they stick. And that's where the use of a coach can come into place. If you're in the position to invest in support, is just ask. People have already walked the path of success before you, and they can give you all of the lessons and the mistakes and the learnings. And yes, you're still going to make your own mistakes. However, wouldn't it be great just to reduce them all by, at least half, to get a really great head start, than to be sitting in this, I started my business and it didn't work? Because I hear that all the time. It's just like, well, connect and learn and research and get it done right, so that, they say that, what is it, 60% of businesses fail in the first 2 years? Because they try to do it alone.
Right.
And I think it's so
Ask for
important.
help.
Just ask. Entrepreneurship doesn't have to be a lonely path to follow.
Right. That is such great advice. and there's so much out there. Like you said, you connected with people and asked to do a virtual coffee. I mean, there's Facebook groups now
Yeah.
that you can find, and there's so many opportunities to meet people who've done what you want to do. That is great. Well, can you tell us if you could narrow it down to one thing that helped you make the most progress in your business, what do you think that would be?
Mindset. 100% the mindset. Once I started to believe in myself and know that I was good enough to have a place to move forward, and then knowing that I could help people, everything changed. Otherwise, we just sit here in our stuff and the stories that we keep on telling ourselves and not move forward. So that's really been the one thing that's progressed my business.
Mindset. And I've talked quite a bit about mindset because that's going to get in the way of us sticking with it. Like you gave that 60% of businesses fail in the first 2 years. Well, if you have the right mindset, then something doesn't work, then you go, let's see, what else could I try instead of giving up. So persistence, it gets in the way of you being persistent and just keeping going, staying forward, moving, believing that you're doing what's right for you.
Yeah, I think that's a really big point that you mentioned, is just stay the course and just keep going. And if what you're doing isn't working, just tweak it, rather than, oh, I've done the same thing every day for 5 days and I'm not getting clients. Oh, keep going. I mean, every year in business that I've been in just goes so much more further. And, where I was a year ago was totally different. But I'm staying the course. I can see where the goal is. And the worst thing that you can do is just to sit here and be like, oh, I've been trying to do this for a couple months and I'm not getting anywhere, and now I'm just going to give up, because that's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, that is great. Sasha, you also have a podcast, right?
Yes.
And what is the name of your podcast?
The name of the podcast is The Sasha Eburne Show, and it is everything about building, growing, and scaling a virtual assistant business.
Awesome. Well, I will make sure that I share links to that and to your website, which is Sasha Eburne Coaching, right?
Just SashaEburne.com.
Oh, okay. I thought it said coaching, but no.
No.
And I know that you can connect with you can go to a tab on your website to see to go to the podcast, right? And,
yes.
And all of your info is on there. So it has been such a pleasure talking with you today, Sasha. I love your energy. I just so appreciate your point of view, because believing in yourself is so important, and so many of us let our fears and that imposter syndrome get in the way of just pursuing what we know we should be doing.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I've really enjoyed our chat today. It's been great.
Yes. So thank you. Okay, everyone. So thanks so much for joining us today. Like I said, I'm going to share Sasha's info. Thank you, Chris Hutchinson, for editing this and all my podcasts. Make sure that you are liking and following. And hey, rate us, would ya? All right. We will see you every other Sunday on anywhere you find podcasts. Thanks. See you next time.